Welcome back to Arcanum, everyone. I'm your host, Social Solipsist, and before we get back to Tarrant, I have a note about episode 164, which is that Sharp is innocent. Go fucking figure. So, I had to consult the wiki for something else, and I came upon this passage, which I'll just read to you verbatim. At Sharp's shop, you'll find out Sharp has left town, but his wife Ivory will talk to you. She'll recognize the poison as something they sell in their shop, but she won't know anything more about. Period. Weird. Don't press her on the subject. Instead, wait until nightfall when Ivory leaves the shop, then open the vase in the back. You'll find a poison vial inside. In the morning, talk to Ivory again and ask her about the vial. You'll eventually work out that Wrath killed himself and framed Sharp, and you'll earn 3,100 experience. Yeah, go back and rewatch that episode and tell me where the fuck that was supposed to work out. Because, like, if that dialogue tree was assembled in any sort of sensible way, I should have stumbled into that in some other capacity at some point. But instead it was just, hey, I found this vial. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. And then I'm like, well, I guess that means that they probably killed him. I mean, you haven't given me anything to the contrary. So, womp womp. So there's that. Enjoy that bit of nonsense. Let's talk to what's her nugget. Don't believe I've had the pleasure. We won't go through this because we've already talked to her. It's Swift. As a matter of fact, I am. I visited there. What did you have in mind? Why do you want to go there? I will do it for 450. How old are you actually? Isn't that a little young? I'm sure you're ready to go. Yes, I am. Let's go then. Okay. If she dies, she dies. Ooh, yikes. Slow down there. Okay, well, let's just take off basically straight for Tarrant. We've got some other things to handle while we are there. But we'll get into that once we get there. I looked up how to get through the next, 4 missions because it's kind of nonsense. It's very much run around. It's like yet another case of needless run around to extend the length of the game. Hold on. She is with the party, is she not? Okay. She's not in the list, so I got a little concerned. I don't actually know where I'm supposed to get her to. Maybe just to the entrance? Maybe that's enough? I guess we'll find out. Ay. Kill him. Guns. Guns, friend. Don't bring a sword to a gunfight. Unless the man wielding the gun doesn't have the dexterity to fire it, or the perception to fire it, rather. Thank you for bringing me here. I suppose I'll be on my way. Here's the coin I promised you. Thank you, I'll be seeing you. Well, that's sort of nonsense, but okay. So, I believe what we're going... Are you quite done saying that? 2 loads in a row, nice. I believe what we need to do now is go to the Hall of Records. You know what? It's been a little while since we've been in Tarrant, so let's get a paper, just for old time's sake. Give me today's newspaper. Mystery on the Hadrian. Magicker observed in strange ritual. Staff writer. Police reported a curious encounter that took place down near the banks of the Hadrian River, which runs through Tarant. It seems a local constable observed a man engaged in what he described as, quote, behavior of a most peculiar type, unquote. The constable stated, quote, I observed this individual for several minutes from my vantage point, which was not far from where the suspect was standing. He was holding a bag or sack of some type in one hand and was pulling feathers out of it with the other. He would then hold the feather in his outstretched hand in front of his face and appeared to be concentrating some kind of magic upon it, whereupon the feather would erupt in a blue flash and disappear from his hand. I observed this queer ritual several times before I decided fire a warning shot over his head. Unfortunately, my weapon would not operate, unquote. The constable went on further to explain that the man escaped, but in his haste had dropped the satchel from whence he had been pulling the feathers. The sack was found to contain a number of different feathers. Examination of the feathers by the Honorable Professor Tristan Fenwick of the Tarantian Zoological Society showed that the feathers were indeed of a variety of birds, even some hitherto unknown species. This information, coupled with the constable's account of his weapon misfiring, a known side effect of strong magic in the vicinity, led Fenwick to believe this man and his strange ritual may have something to do with the recent migratory anomalies that have been occurring in the Hadrian aviary hatcheries, which others, mainly magic users, have attributed to the so-called poisoning of the Hadrian by local factories. The police have stated that they will continue their investigation. Yep. Scapegoat the magic users, huh? I don't need any of this shit. Okay. I think we need to go to the university is where we basically need to end up, right? Isn't the Hall of Records here? Yep, Hall of Records. Okay. So, what we need to do, if this will ever smooth out, is go downstairs and ask this fine young lady about why she's being such a bitch. Why can I not wait here? You're gonna make me go stand out in the cold? This is what I get for my tax dollars? And it's only 7 a.m. Nobody will be working for a few more hours. How about 9? Is this late enough? I bet you've been here all night. I didn't see you leave. Will you allow me a few more questions? Is it possible that you find an obituary for me? Renford A. Terwilliger. He died on 5/11/1804. Ah, yes, here we are. Ahem. 5/11/1804. Renford A. Terwilliger, author of Sen-Ang, A Whore Amongst the Dark Elves, was found dead in his home today. His death appears to have occurred amongst mysterious circumstance. The authorities are calling for further investigation. Oh my, what a dreadful incident. And that's... Let's see, are there any books contained with your archives? The books you are in search of, you should view the Library of Tarant. Okay. So, yeah, go figure that you'd assume that this is where you need to go about finding out about the random name that was randomly mentioned in a rather offhand manner. Let alone that you would then figure out that you need to go look up the book that this fellow wrote. Thankfully, we don't have to trek all the way across the city, because I believe this is the library here. Yes. Do you have Senang, Whore Amongst the Dark Elves? I suspect that we may very well have a copy. However, without a membership, I am sorry, but I cannot assist you. Give me a fucking membership, jackass. Sounds spooky. So, Senang, Whore Amongst the Dark Elves sounds spooky. Well, that's not what you said 2 minutes ago, so fuck you. Does library have it? Do you know who the author would be? Read for... Wait. I'm sorry, sir, I was not able to find Senang, Whore Amongst the Dark Elves. However, I did find another book that may be of interest to you. Fuck you, sir. I just paid you a bunch of money for your shitty library membership to your shitty library, and you don't even have the book you just suggested that you had. What book would that be? The book is titled Curse of Senang. It appears to be a book about the one you are searching for. May I check it out? She hands you the book. Okay, well, let's read this book. The Curse of Senang by Kendrick Wales. In the following pages, I, Kendrick Wales, will attempt to explain in the plainest words possible the mystery surrounding Renford A. Terwilliger and his controversial work known as Whore Amongst the Dark Elves. Most of the stories I will present to you are both strange and frightening, but I give you my word as an author and a scholar. They are the truth. Decide yourself, after the facts that are presented, whether or not you dare to believe them. Renford A. Terwilliger was born in 1750. God, no. This immediately reads like a high school history paper. His fabled trip into the glimmering forest was made in 1768, his 18th year. He was indeed, as per his book, accompanied by an elven tracker named Jarin Benal. Records housed within the Tarantian Zoological Society validate this fact. Mr. Benal was never heard from nor seen again after the expedition. As for Mr. Terwilliger's account of his adventures in the elven city of Kintara, or his supposed discovery of the mythological Senang, no one can be sure. Most scholars and collectors of literature assume that Mr. Terwilliger's book is a work of fiction. And as such, fantastical literature was all the rage at the time, I might be inclined to agree. This is... I have so many problems with how this is written. Yet one must only look upon the events following the publication of Whore Among the Dark Elves to see he may very well have found something deep within the glimmering that was never ever meant to be found. There were very few copies of the book ever published. Records concerning the initial print run are scarce, but it is believed that no more than 100 were ever released to the public. 4 days after the book was shipped to Tarantian bookstores, the factory that printed it was burned to the ground. The owner, a Mr. Jeremiah Gomes, was found in his home, brutally murdered by an unknown assailant. The 4 bookstores that had purchased the volume for sale in Tarrant suffered the same fate. Only 15 copies of the book were sold before the final store was destroyed. Those 15 copies became an immediate collector's item. Enormous sums of money were paid for the remaining volumes. After a few months, the books had fallen into various respected collections across Arcanum. Each and every one of the owners of the books began to complain of strange happenings once the book was in their possession. All of them told of frightening noises and visions, shadowy figures following them wherever they went, unexplained illnesses, and untimely deaths. Many attributed this to paranoia, a trite brand of sensationalism to create an even greater demand for the book. However, their fears were all too justified. All of them were dead within 5 years of the initial publication, their volumes either stolen, burned, or disfigured beyond recognition. Indeed, they had suffered what came to be known as the Curse of Senang. Mr. Terwilliger, strangely enough, lived a relatively long life, cursed in his own way to witness the evil fruits of his labors. He saw himself as the curse of these horrors and wrote extensively of it within his memoirs. The following is an excerpt from them only days before he died in his sleep. I will never forgive myself for what I have unleashed upon the world. Had I the courage, I would travel again to the Glimmering, and unleash holy vengeance upon those evil creatures that have plagued our fair land and its peoples. Alas, I no longer have the strength nor the power, and now there is only my own end that I pray for every day. Until just a few short months ago, it was thought that there were no remaining copies of Horror Among the Dark Elves. After an exhaustive investigation, I have found that this is not at all the case. The last known copy of the book, owned by the famed book collector Mr. Philip Misk, was thought to have perished with its owner in a fire almost 50 years ago. Now, with new evidence presented by a reliable source, I've discovered that Mr. Misk's son, Mr. Misk of Caledon, still has the copy in his possession and is hiding it for fear that the curse will again visit his family. I pray the evil let loose in the Glimmering has finally been put to rest, and I pray for Mr. Misk and his family to avoid the fate that has befallen every other soul who has challenged the curse of Senang. So, if it wasn't already apparent, the whole point of this circuitous bullshit and all that reading was to find out where the book is, so that we can find out where the Dark Elves live. And, God, if I had not looked it up, how long would this have taken? Don't even dare to think. You can keep your fucking book. And the money. Your dirty money. Okay. I'm trying to remember if there was anything else to do while we were here. The Ruby. Lost Elven Hunter. Oh, I didn't finish that. Well, we'll be back there anyway. Well, while we're here, let's go back to let's go back to my stash and do some crafting. 'Cause I need to figure out who has mithril and where and how much of it there is in the game. I think I want to go this way, don't I? Where is my warehouse? It's down here. Okay, so this road down here. Yeah, so I want to go like another block down. So I just bump the mic a little bit. What the fuck's going on here? What would you do if you had not been taken from your natural home and forced to work under these conditions? Please, you must listen to me. These are noble beings you are dealing with, not savages. Your presence here is exasperating this situation. If you leave, I can bring this to a satisfactory conclusion. The situation calls for compassion and restraint. Please. Alright, let's deal with this, I guess. No time to talk, sir. We have a problem on our hands. Labor agitators, you understand. Labor agitators? What do they want? The orcs are striking for a union again. Won't they ever learn? A look of realization crosses his face. That's no excuse for a lack of manners now, is it? He offers his hand for you to shake. I'm Captain Wheeler of the Tarantian Guard. I'm Jeremiah Sanchez. May I ask what you intend to do here? If I were certain it was possible to do so without the loss of any of my men, I'd raid the factory and kill them all, damned orcs. Perhaps I can help. What is the situation here exactly? The orcs have taken over this factory and say they won't leave until they are allowed to unionize. It's their damned leader, Don Throg, that's the real problem here. Many of these orcs know what their place is and act accordingly, but Throg gets them all riled up. He's too smart for his own good. It's the human blood that has made him this difficult, ironically. He's a half-orc? Yes, and instead of being part of society as his blood would allow, he has taken it upon himself to be the champion of the orcs. He lives with them, works with them, and basically he refuses to be treated as anything but a full-blooded orc. We need to rid society of his kind for the good of everyone. So what can be done to end this standoff? Without endangering my men, the only thing to do is starve them out. Perhaps I can help. What do you propose? Perhaps I can convince him to surrender. It wouldn't be easy. He is distrustful of me, as there was an incident the last time these beasts rioted. We were forced to gun them down to protect the citizens of Tarant. Perhaps if you were to let him know that members of the press were out here, yes, he would speak to them when he surrenders. That might convince him. Jesus. Are there members of the press out here? Yes, of course. If you can get him to surrender and convince him to come out here peacefully, we can end this standoff. Peacefully. He hands you a key. They've locked themselves in, but the owner gave us the key to the front door. Good luck. Thank you. Jesus, why? This is not going to end well. Let's talk to this noble who won't shut up. Being a citizen, what is going on here? That totalitarian Captain Wheeler has some noble orcs who are striking for their rights trapped inside this factory. Do you consider striking a noble act? The orcs feel they have to do things like this to draw attention to their plight. They feel they cannot affect any change through political ends when they are seen as expendable beasts. It is all the more pity, as Mr. Throg could be just the man we are looking for. Mr. Throg, the man you are looking for? Don Throg is the leader of the orcs because he has human blood. Leader of the orcs. Because he has human blood, we can make the case for his rights to unionize before the council. There has never been a case to determine the rights of I know that's technically correct in, like, older English syntax of an orc, not an orc, an half. What was that noise? I heard you. It sounds better if you use the British pronunciation of H's, which is like a strong H. It's not the like. It's an H, like herbs and yeah, so on and so forth. But an half. It's just it doesn't roll off the tongue right. Never mind. The rights of a half-orc under the law. If a half-orc can pass for human, they usually keep their heads down so that others won't think of them as orcs. And if they look like orcs, well, I see. So Mr. Throg appears to be human? He is unique in that his features have a distinctive orcish cast to them, but instead of making him look the dumb brute, it actually gives him somewhat the appearance of a swarthy rogue. And I've never met a half-orc with the charisma he has. Or near anyone else for that matter. So what can be done to defuse this situation? Nothing, I'm afraid. It seems Mr. Throg has reached the end of his days. I wouldn't be so certain. I am going to convince him to surrender. Even if you were able to convince him, Wheeler will not let him leave that building alive, as I have already told you. We shall see. Well, let's do another save. Talk to Wheeler again. Well, he doesn't have anything new to say, so I guess we'll see how this goes. Who you? What you doing here? Wheeler send you? Speak or I kill you. I am here to speak with Mr. Throg to help you. He looks you over suspiciously. He's in back. You try anything, you be dead. That says white wood door, but that's clearly a big sheet metal door. Dawn Throg. This dark, brooding figure slowly turns to face you. His brutish features somehow accentuate his noble stature, rather than detract from it as one would expect. So, they have finally sent someone to kill me, have they? Well, this is pretty strong dichotomy in answers here. No, I am here to convince you to surrender. Surrender? Deliver my fate into the hands of those narrow-minded oppressors? Not likely. Even if I were to survive the experience, which I doubt, it would do nothing to change the plight of my brothers. We must be heard. Wheeler wouldn't dare kill you in front of the crowd out there. Wheeler? Of course he would. And the papers would congratulate him for removing a threat to society. They love to build up villains and heroes, regardless of what the truth may be. Make him out the foolish villain to the press, then. And that would not be a difficult task. He is a buffoon at best. This idea is beginning to intrigue me, that I will admit. The contrast of your views with Wheeler's would sway people. A broad smile appears on his face. I don't know if that's true. People's beliefs are hard to sway. Truth very rarely enters into it. No, what I am interested in is making Wheeler look to be a fool. If I could get people to question his abilities as captain of the guard, they would then begin to question his supporters on the council. Exactly. I believe you have convinced me, sir. I will do it. Let me go tell Wheeler you are coming out peacefully. Something tells me this isn't going to go well, but it's worth a shot. Well, is he coming out? Did you convince him to surrender? Yes, he wanted me to tell you he is coming out peacefully. Thanks. Me and my boys will take it from here. You're welcome. I was just gonna let this play out, but... I'm kind of surprised this went the way it did. Only in the sense that I'm surprised that we're not immediately, like... Wait a minute. Are the orcs fighting against us too? I guess so. Is that incidental or is that... Well, let's talk to Mr. Babcock. I hope you were pleased with yourself, cretin, delivering an honorable being like Mr. Throg to his death. I spit on you. He spits on you. Well... Let's try that again. I just don't like the response of, I'm here to join you. That seems like the other kind of stupid. Alright, Throg, what can we do this time? Oh, whoops. God damn it. This calls for wine. I mean, this whole, like, racial conflict thing could potentially be interesting if it wasn't so, like, ham-handed. Dude, fucking talk to me. Here to join your cause. What? I meant to believe that you want to throw in with the orcs? Your plight speaks to me. That's trite. It speaks to you? What does it say? That we are fighting a hopeless battle? That we will never be treated with respect? No one voluntarily joins with orcs. Why are you really here? I'm here to help you burn Tarant to the ground. What? Are you insane? You know they'll kill you if you get the chance. You would just have me rush headlong into certain death? What would that accomplish? I don't know, but it would be fun. You're a raving loon. Please leave. I do not need your kind around here attempting to start a riot. Goodbye. Well. We need to kill the totalitarians to free ourselves. These bloated fools will never listen to reason. I say they die. Our journalists out front. How am I supposed to do this? Is there a way to, like, it seems like you can't win this. Which, to be fair, would not be totally inconsistent with the, like, the tone of the world, which is like, any attempt at goodness is buried under bureaucracy or racism or whatever. Surrender. There are journalists out front. You can speak with them. Of course, what a capital idea. Those mud-raking fools will print anything to sell paper. Even the ravings of an insane half-orc. After Wheeler massacred the last group of protesters, there was an outcry of support for us. Albeit a small one. But any support for us was all unheard of before the incident. I'm certain the press would rally behind your cause. They rally behind no cause. They have no point of view, save the one that will sell newspapers that day. They would just as soon report on me being gunned down in the street as they would print what I had to say. As a matter of fact, I believe they would prefer me dead in the street. It's more dramatic. Wheeler dead would be more dramatic. That would grab people. What are you saying? No. Dying like a caged animal would accomplish even less. Do not go gentle into the good night and all that, eh? I suppose it is best to be able to choose the manner of your death and to have it thrust upon you. But what of the innocent lives that will be lost? Innocents? Did they do anything to stop Wheeler? No, they did not. He grits his teeth. They stood by and watched. It's time they felt your pain, I believe. Fierce hatred begins to erupt behind his eyes. 20 of my people, killed. No retribution, no remorse. You are right, sir. Tarant dies tonight. They'll make the bastards pay. Death to the bourgeois pigs. Well, that's on the nose. Maybe we can get him to live, actually. Jesus. Jesus, dude, how many shots do you get in that thing? And why is the halfling aggroed? Jesus. What is going on? The question is, do I try and come over here and save him, or... He's still at full health. I suppose I can always heal him. At least a little, right? Hooray for my party of murderous nut jobs. I don't know why that one guy with the rifle got so many fucking shots. Maybe he had a repeating rifle or whatever that thing was, with the revolver barrel. Captain Wheeler sure has a lot of health. What? What? Yormund, is that an ability of yours? Oh. Oh, I wasn't making a joke. Apparently, we really are destroying Tarant. We started a race war. Oops. Well, next time on Arcanum... Well, no, let's hold on. Yes, welcome, how do you do? Okay, man. That's a greeting for your race war, I guess. Next time on Arcanum, we'll see if there's a different way to deal with this, but something tells me there isn't. Something tells me there isn't.